Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. Let's take a look at what we're tracking here for today as we're going to talk about how cold we're expecting some of that Arctic air that's coming in for next week. It's definitely going to be some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in a while across parts of the country. And we're going to see if that's going to lead to any additional snow forecasts. We're going to see an increase in there or not and let you know if there's going to be any big storms coming our way. And then finally, we'll take a look at the long range to see if there's going to be any kind of sort of pattern shift, especially anything that could particularly help the folks down in Southern California. We'll take a look at that as well. Now, first, I do want to thank all the new subscribers here to the channel. And if you have not yet decided to subscribe, about 60% of you out there, please hit that subscribe button at this time. It'll be an honor and privilege to be one of your weather sources here in the YouTube universe. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here on the current weather picture. We have some snow that's moving across the Great Lakes right now. A little light rain down there into South Texas expected for today, but otherwise from coast to coast, we have a lack of storm systems. We've got this continental dry air mass that's been coming in out of northern Canada and really kind of shutting down the normal progressive storm systems from west to east across the country, especially out here on the west coast. Boy, you got this humongous ridge in place right now. Obviously, we need the rains there in Southern California, and right now, unfortunately, as far as the short term is concerned, I just don't think we're going to get it for that area. Very dry from Washington State all the way down in towards San Diego and Southern California. Now, as a result of what we're expecting for today, we've got red flag warnings. The winds are supposed to be kicking up back up here again. Bad conditions for the firefighting efforts down there. And we do have some snows across areas of the Great Lakes, but otherwise, most of the country is just looking at cold temperatures. Now, let's look at our current surface map. Look at these readings up here. -7 in Minneapolis right there. International Falls, -18. Very cold. We got some snows here across the Great Lakes that are falling. A little light precipitation down there into Oklahoma. We'll go ahead and zoom in here and take a closer look at some of the snows just south of Chicago. Nice little burst of snow that's going to be moving off toward the east, heading over toward Fort Wayne as we head into later this afternoon. Now, what's interesting about the weather pattern that we're currently sitting in right now is we're going to go for a prolonged period where I don't think we're going to see anything in the way of thunderstorms anytime soon. In fact, the Storms Prediction Center next 3 days, I got nothing to show you. It's quiet there, as well as they're not expecting any heavy rains anytime soon. Obviously, the big news story is the fact that we're expecting this big Arctic invasion heading in toward next week. And as a result, the hazards outlook, oh boy, I tell you, this is probably one of the biggest ones I've seen in a long time. Look how much of the country here is under concerns for hazardous cold here as we go through the next several days. And then obviously, the other part of this story, you notice the brown down here across Southern California, that's high winds, unfortunately, in an area that darn sure don't need it. They need some rain down there, and we'll be taking a look at the long-range models here in just a second. So let's go ahead and first off take a look at the short-term models. We're going to be looking over the next 40 hours here as we're going to be watching basically the Great Lakes area. They'll be seeing a little bit of snow down there and a little bit of rain down here into South Texas. So let's go ahead and clear this out right now. I know they're supposed to be doing a rocket launch, I believe, tomorrow for SpaceX. I don't know if they're going to get that off with the rains increase down there, but you see the rains, the snows across the Great Lakes that'll be picking up. So the lake effect machines will be kicking up there. And then as we go in toward tomorrow morning, yeah, there's that rains down there in South Texas. So that could potentially delay the launch. I believe SpaceX was supposed to launch for tomorrow, but we'll see. And then we're just basically seeing, here's another little system coming in out of Canada here. So we'll see the snows here across the Lake Superior here coming in toward the late day hours, about 6 o'clock there on Wednesday, showing the snows are increasing. And obviously you've got the lake effect there going in there off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And that system will drop off to the south, just kind of enhancing the snows in place. And that's pretty much it. Look how much of the coast to coast here, dry as a bone here for the next couple of days on the short term. So let's go ahead and take a look at the jet stream. You know, that's what's driving our weather pattern here across the United States. We're not getting these storm systems here to kind of really kick in across the country. They're kind of flowing up, and everything's kind of coming in out of Canada. So we're going to see a very pronounced trough as we go into early next week. Now, we do have this one storm system here as we head toward this upcoming weekend. So as we go toward your Saturday here, Friday and Saturday, here comes this dip in the jet stream here that's diving down here toward the south here, and we're going to get a brief warm up here across the southeast, but don't get used to it because we got this very cold progressive pattern coming in here as this jet stream gets very amplified here, and we're really going to dive down some very cold temperatures here across a big portion of the country going in toward Tuesday and Wednesday with this system. Now, we were worried about maybe seeing some sort of development out of the Gulf of Mexico, still not showing that so much on the European model right now, so not any concerns about another winter storm coming out of the Gulf for right now. and it looks like we'll just stay plain old cold going through most of next week here. And then as we go toward the end of this, looks like we get a little bit of a break here, a little bit of moderation as we head toward the 15th. The flow becomes a little more parallel, so a little more breakout. And then it looks like something tries to dive down here toward the west coast here on the end of the model run here that may bring a storm system there. Kind of pinches off there and swings into California. So maybe we get some rain here on the end of this model run here toward the end of the month. Again, this is projection at this point. Anything beyond 7 days, obviously, is a projection. So what I'll be looking for on the jet stream, the overall pattern, is to see, is that something that's consistent? Am I going to see it again on tomorrow's run to see if that's going to be something that's going to be there in the future? We can only hope so, because obviously they need the rain out there in Southern California. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here at the continental United States. Again, we're going to watch that timestamp there. We've already talked about the first couple days here. So let's go ahead and talk about this upcoming storm system for this upcoming weekend. Very dry for most of this week. Again, we're going to be watching that cold air invasion start to come on down here as we head through Saturday. So here comes that cold air coming down. We're going to tap some of this Gulf of Mexico moisture here with some of this rain. Maybe a rumble of thunder with this along the Gulf Coast. We'll see about that. It's going to get back, temperatures will get back in the 60s for a lot of areas, so could be some thunderstorms with this, but I'm not expecting anything severe right now with this as this comes on through. And then there's just plain old cold that settles on in here. We'll see some snows there across areas of the Appalachian Mountains coming out of Kentucky, going into Pennsylvania, going in through late in the day on your Sunday. Just some very frigid temperatures here coming in across the high plains and coming across the Great Lakes. And this will continue to move off toward the east, and a lot of the country here, seeing the blue, that freezing line that we track the depth of that cold air. Look how much of the country here is going to be in the ice box going toward next week. Quite nippy, to say the least. All right, now we're going to take this forward here through time as that cold air kind of settles in place. There's a little bit of winter precipitation showing up here along the Texas Gulf Coast. I don't know about this just yet. This is on the end of 9 days, 10 days out. It's going out toward Wednesday of next week. So that's 8 days out. So we'll see. It's still a little bit early to call on that. We'll see if that continues to be there for next week. But it is showing a little bit there along the Texas Gulf Coast. A little unusual to see that. And then this pulls on out, and just another cold shot coming down here heading toward Friday, although not as bad as the one previous there. Then as we go through the rest of the week, looks like we get a little bit of moderation. Again, temperatures moderate here across at least the southern tier of the United States. We're seeing some milder weather there, and we get some intermountain snows out here in the west as we go in toward the 25th. So again, this is beyond 10 day. We're just kind of looking at what are the forecast trends. And then this is what I really wanted to show you here as we take this all the way out here on the end of the model run. Looks like, oh, look at us down here in Southern California as we head toward the 28th. Maybe get some rain, some snows out there in California. Again, what I'll be looking for is to see, is that still there tomorrow when we do the update again? Is it going to still be there? And that's what we'll be watching. Now, one thing's for certain is looks like we're in store for a little bit of a break here from the extreme cold across the country, but I think that's short-lived. I'm going to show you why here in just a second. All right, as we go ahead up toward the 28th. So let's go ahead and take a look here at what now we're looking at the rainfall forecast here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this here for the next 10 days or so, next 3 days. One thing's for certain, we're not getting a whole lot of rain because of all the continental air mass that's in place. We're just not getting anything coming out of the west coast, nor are we getting anything to form anything out of the Gulf. Next 3 days, we get a little bit of rain down here toward Texas, and obviously we've got a little bit of snows here across the Great Lakes, but that's about it. That seems to be the only game in town here. And as I go out toward your 10-day here, we'll take this out to 240. We do get that rain here across the south from that storm system for this weekend and across the Midwest, but even that's not a lot. Looks like Florida will see some decent rains down there. And then I'm going to take you all the way out beyond the 10-day. I don't normally do that, but I'm only doing this because of California. We're talking about maybe get some rains out here. And here we go. Boom, here at the end of one on day 28. Again, 15 days out, we do see some rains here across Southern California. But again, we're just looking to see if there's a forecast trend. Is this something we're going to see back tomorrow or the next day to show that, maybe we're going to get something out in California? Because right now, it's staying dry as a bone. So let's go ahead and talk about the snow ratios here. We're going to talk about this again for the next 72 hours here. Next 3 days, we're just basically talking predominantly lake effect snows here all across areas there. A little weak area of some snows there toward the plains looks like right there for the next 3 days. And then as we go all the way out here, as we take this out to the 10-day total here, they really pick up with that cold air going over those warmer waters of the Great Lakes here. We're talking probably areas there will be measured in feet once again along the Great Lakes. Looks like we got some intermountain snows here a little bit. And of course, hey, look at this little thing down here. We'll see if this comes true or not. I'll put a big question mark on that on whether we're going to see that down in South Texas or not. A little early to call on that one, and a little unusual, obviously, to see snow that far south. So let's go ahead and talk about the cold air. That's the big story here, is we're going to be talking about this. We're really dealing with a polar tap here that's coming out of Siberia and coming down. This is what's been we got one little chunk right there that's currently over us. I want you to watch this as I go over the and forward in time here. We got a nice little big plunge, especially going into next week here. Watch this plunge come on down here. Boom. Yeah, keep going on down there. This, my friends, when you see this color cue, this is all below zero temperatures, okay? So this is making a beeline out of the United States, coming down into the United States here, going in toward next week. So that'll be coming on in, and that settles on in a big part of the country for next week. And then it starts to moderate a little bit toward the end of the run. And again, looks like we get a little bit of a break, maybe around the 24th or 25th. But again, I think that's short-lived, because when I take this thing all the way out again, I'm seeing another plunge here right on the tail end. Here's another plunge coming in over the pole, going in toward the 28th and 29th. So it looks like that'll come back down again, heading in toward, say, the 1st of February. So it looks like the cold weather pattern is going to be sticking with us here as we go in toward the month of February, the way it's looking currently. So let's go ahead and break this down here. Let's talk about the temperature anomaly map. That's definitely quite significant here, as we're going to be dealing with this Arctic outbreak. We do get a little bit of a break going in toward this upcoming week on Friday and Saturday here. You notice by Friday we get a little bit of a break here across the big middle of the country here. Not too bad out here in the west, so not too bad, at least briefly, before that big Arctic invasion pulls on in. So here comes the Arctic invasion here as we go in toward Monday. Look how much of the country here is going to be covered in the purple. We're talking quite a bit here. I can see temperatures here in that deep purple showing 30 degrees below average for this time of year. So a big core of cold air coming in here across the country. Now, the good news is it's not a blocking pattern. In other words, you're not going to get it locked in place. It is going to move on out here eventually. So it does moderate a little bit as we head toward the 24th or so. You see that across the northern tier here as we moderate a little bit here briefly. And then as we go all the way out to the end of this model run, looks like the west gets a little bit colder and stays a little bit milder here in the east. You notice on the 27th, a little bit milder here in the southeast. Looking quite cold out here in the west, obviously out there in Montana and into Wyoming, with temperatures well below normal there. And then we're going to take this all the way out to the end of its run, where it looks like we see below normal temperatures here across a lot of the western United States. Southeast is a brief warm up, a little chilly here across the Great Lakes. But again, I showed you what was coming upstream. Looks like it going beyond the model look there. Maybe another big outbreak coming in at us as we head toward February the 1st. So let's go ahead and talk about the climate outlook here. Again, we'll kind of wrap this up, put it in a nice little bow for you here, as we're looking at the 6 to 10 day outlook here, January 19th to the 23rd, below normal. Obviously, we saw that with that big chunk of the country with that 30 degrees below average there. And it looks like that trend continues to the 21st to 27th. It'll be interesting to see with the new update. The models I was looking at was going out to the 28th and 29th to see if this will modify and change a little bit, because the trend was to kind of bring it a little bit colder out toward the west. So let's see if that kind of holds true or not. As far as the precipitation, below normal, obviously, out here in the west. They need the rain out in Southern California. Really, for a lot of the country, is seeing below normal precipitation here. Just a couple of pockets where you see maybe increased precipitation chances. And that holds true the 21st to the 27th, unfortunately. So no rains out in California, unfortunately. At least nothing showing here on the short term. Maybe at the end of the 2-week period, perhaps getting some rain out there and showing some rain here along the Gulf Coast. But for the most part, just plain old cold. That's going to be the big story. And of course, the Great Lakes are going to get pounded very substantially. I think they're going to be measuring it definitely in considerably more of feet for sure, as this cold air mass continues. And the Great Lakes are still exposed right now. They haven't frozen up just yet. They're starting to a little bit, but still looking quite snowy across the areas there, across the Great Lakes and part of the Midwest as well. But no big snowstorms for the southeast. I know it was something we were watching with this cold air intrusion, whether we're going to get that or not. Texas has got a little bit of a question mark. We'll watch that and see if that will hold true going into next week or not. All right, that's your weather update. Again, I want to thank everybody for helping support the channel. And if you haven't yet decided to subscribe, please do so at this time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, please leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think, and I do appreciate you guys' feedback. All right, that's your weather update. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next update. Bye, guys.